Kame-Cast special report. Introducing your hosts, Cody Taylor and Doug Keeney.
Hey world, this is Cody and Doug, and we're going to tell you what's up right now, and we're not really too happy about it, and I think you'll agree with us. Today, unfortunately, we found out that the one, the only, the great Stanley passed away.
Yeah, Stan the man. I mean, whew. Yeah, we're recording this on Monday, November 12th, 2018, and yeah, like Cody said, earlier today, probably around, I think it was probably around 1:30, my girlfriend messaged me and told me about it, and I looked it up online because I've heard shit like that before,
Yeah.
thought maybe it might be a hoax.
Yeah,
Because I've heard stuff like that about Stanley before, and it's always been, he's come out and said, no, I'm fine.
Yeah.
But then, seeing all the stories and then seeing on the official Stanley Twitter and Instagram, the post coming out basically confirming it. We lost one of the greats today, man.
It's a bummer, man. He affected, touched, motivated so many lives. I mean, millions of lives.
Yeah, it's crazy. When you look at just how many different generations have been affected by... it wasn't just Stan Lee. There were a ton of other guys involved in making Marvel what it was, but Stan was the creative force behind a ton of it.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's amazing when you look back at one guy, a vision that he had, impacts so many generations. I mean, going all the way back to, my grandparents, know who Stan Lee is.
Yeah.
My dad and uncle got those comics when they were kids, and then we got those comics when we were kids. And there are people our age that have kids that are getting those same comics now.
Yeah.
And those movies and the games and just everything that's been made out of what he created has touched so many lives, and it's crazy.
Yeah.
When you look back at it.
Yeah, man. It's one of those things where he just... I unfortunately never got to meet him. But you hear all these great stories of how he's helped people, encouraged them, just the life advice and just that he's given people and really just the encouragement to follow their dreams and be everything that they could be.
Absolutely.
And then to have a hand in writing about these characters that are bigger than life, but at the same time... Let's take, for instance, you got Spider-Man. He's literally out there saving people's lives, fighting aliens and superhumans and metas and everything. But at the end of the day, he's just a teenage boy that wants to do some good. He's still got relatable problems.
That's, I think, the thing that makes Marvel, to me, the superior comic book brand to a brand like DC. All due respect to DC, because, they were there first. Superman is the original of all this. None of this would exist without him. But I always loved the way that Stan Lee and Marvel approached their storytelling, because they made it where it's not like these people were gods. These weren't infallible people that were indestructible. These were people, real people with problems who just so happened to have these extraordinary things happen to them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just crazy, man. Going all the way back to, I think, Fantastic Four was the original Marvel thing. Like, if I remember correctly, Fantastic Four was kind of the first thing that he and Kirby kind of did together.
I think so, yeah.
Because people call them the first family of Marvel, and I believe that's right, because the Fantastic Four predates Spider-Man and all that stuff.
Yeah, that sounds right.
I did have the opportunity to meet him once. It was like 2006, 2007, can't remember which, but not like a big personal meeting, but he did it's more or less like a Q&A type thing over in Springfield, my hometown where I grew up. He did like a Q&A over at the Kuss Auditorium, which is, the auditorium in town, and afterwards he did a signing at the public library, and I got this essential Fantastic Four collection. It was like the first 20 issues of Fantastic Four in one. and I was able to get him to sign that for me, and he signed my Spider-Man 2 T-shirt, and which was cool because he wasn't signing anything more than one item, but he was nice enough to sign 2 for me.
That's awesome.
Little 12, 13-year-old me. But it was fun to get the chance to meet him and get to see him face to face. Definitely a huge figure in my childhood. What would you say? When did you first become aware of like Stanley and who he was and all that?
Probably. I'm trying to think. I was probably, I think, somewhere around 8 years old. I referenced it when in the Halloween episode when my dad first told me who like the Hulk and everything was. That's about the time that like I started, because he gave me some comics and stuff, and that's about the time I really kind of dove deep into comics and reading them and all things Marvel and learning about that. And he told me who Stan Lee was and everything. But the first time I actually visually saw him, I think, was that first ever Cameo. What movie was that in? Was the Hulk, wasn't it?
Yeah, the first cameo I remember for him, and this may not have been the first, but the first one I remember was the original Hulk movie, the Ang Lee one with Eric Bana.
Yeah, because he's a security guard in that.
I don't know if he's a security guard or what he is, but it's a very, very quick shot. If you didn't know it was him, you wouldn't know. And he was walking like out of the parking lot with somebody. And ironically, the guy he was walking with, another fun little Hulk reference, was Lou Ferrigno, the gentleman that played the Hulk in the 70s and 80s TV show.
Yeah.
So great callback there. But yeah, that's we'll get into his cameos and talking more in depth about those later. But yeah, I believe that was the first one. For me, I already knew who Stan Lee was by that point. For me, my introduction to kind of like figuring out who he was the Spider-Man PS1 game that came out in conjunction with the animated series that was around in the late 90s. You start the campaign of that, and it opens with a Stan Lee narration. And it was just the classic, "Hello, true believers, Stan Lee here, web slinging adventures, our favorite wall crawler," that whole thing that he would do. And that was my first memory of knowing, like hearing the name Stan Lee, and then going to my dad and figuring out who he was, talking to my uncle who was a huge Marvel fan.
Yeah.
And it was amazing because it was one of those things where when I saw that first cameo, my mom took me to see the Ang Lee Hulk movie in theaters when it was out. And she caught Lou Ferrigno, but didn't know who Stan Lee was.
Oh, yeah.
And I caught Stan Lee and didn't know who Lou Ferrigno was. So that was my introduction, and maybe I'll find that, see if I can find that clip and throw it online of the of that opening to the Spider-Man game. But that was my first introduction to knowing who he was, and then just became a huge fan of him as a person after that. I remember he did this show on Sci-Fi called Who Wants to Be a Superhero?
Oh yeah.
And
is that the one where he was finding humans that had like pretty incredible abilities?
No, this was after that. This was a legit like reality game show thing he was doing for Sci-Fi. And it was, he would just get these people that created like their own little superhero characters, like made their own costumes, had their own backstories, and he would put them through these weird superhero-esque challenges. And the person at the end of it would get like a little comic made about him and a cameo in some like Stan Lee project.
Oh, that's cool.
And I remember I was a little kid at the time, so I remember like liking that stuff a lot, and seeing Stan on the screen all that time definitely made him a bigger figure to me. And then after that, meeting him at the library, that was really cool.
Oh yeah. Do you remember? I don't remember the name of the show, but do you remember that one where they like find like humans?
It's like Stanley's Superhumans or something like that.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
The only one I like actively remember is there was an episode that it featured two guys. One guy who could literally crack coconuts open with his thumb, like just like hammering away at these coconuts, and I think they took it further, like to something harder. And then there was another guy who could contort really well into like really small boxes.
Damn. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that show. I didn't watch a lot of it. I remember, you always had the guys that like were super fast. Like people that they thought might have had super speed, people they thought might have had super strength. Definitely an interesting show, and I think it was just another great way to keep him out there. Crazy thing about that guy, dude. Even up to the end, he's always fucking working.
Oh, yeah.
Like all the way up to earlier this year, hearing about appearances that he was making at Comic-Con, and I don't even think it was that long ago that he made his last appearance at a Comic-Con.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, it couldn't have been that long ago. I don't even think anyone knew he was sick.
Yeah, I didn't.
Like,
I had no clue.
If he had been battling whatever it was, because they haven't announced what it was that took him.
Yeah.
So, whatever it was, he must have been hiding it like a champ. Because, all the way up until, I believe, as soon as just a few weeks ago, he was still making appearances.
Doesn't surprise me. I know they announced that he did get to film his final cameo.
Didn't they film, like, a bunch? I always heard they filmed, like, a bunch of cameos.
I've heard that, but I don't know if that's true or not. I've heard that, though. But I know it has been verified that for the next Avengers, he has already filmed his cameo.
Cool.
But yeah, man, it doesn't surprise me that he was still out even like a week ago, like doing stuff. He was very much a man of the people.
Oh yeah, and he loved the spotlight. That was one thing. A lot of people, you would say that to damn him, but I didn't look at it as a bad thing. The dude loved to be in the spotlight.
Oh, yeah.
He loved being Stanley. He loved being the guy that created
wouldn't
Marvel.
You
Yeah,
love being Stanley.
Oh yeah, and. Did you you remember, I think it was this year, when all that stupid stuff was coming out, people, like someone was coming out trying to throw, I think they were trying to throw a sexual assault thing, that like the Me Too movement was coming after Stanley.
Yeah, that's...
Over something. That may not have been what it was, but I seem to recall that's what it was.
Yeah, I didn't hear anything about that.
But... talk about, trying to knock someone when they're down.
Grasping at straws.
Yeah, but so what would you say is your favorite Stanley cameo that he ever did?
Oh man!
If you had to, like, even if you can't think of one, just think of like a couple that kind of stand out to you.
My favorite, it's tough, but my favorite's probably the one from Age of Ultron, when they're at the Avengers Tower party, and Thor's got whatever whiskey drink from his realm, and Stanley's like, he doesn't, it's not verbatim, but he's basically like, I'm a real man, give me the hard stuff. And then he gets like just wasted, and then it's somebody's carrying Stanley off, and he's like, EXCELSIOR.
Oh man, that's a great one. I have a couple. One of them that definitely stands out to me is the one. It was from one of the Amazing Spider-Man movies. Might have been Amazing Spider-Man 2, the one where he's in the library.
Oh,
and
yeah,
he's got the headphones on, and he's like just doing shit at this desk while Spider-Man is fighting some dude behind him.
That's a classic.
And like a piece of debris comes like within inches of hitting him, and he just doesn't even notice.
Yeah.
That one stands out to me. Honestly, one that stands out to me just because it came out of nowhere and I wasn't expecting it. And you may not have even seen it yet because I don't know how far you are. The one in the Spider-Man game, the PS4 game.
No, yeah, I saw that.
Yeah,
when you're at the diner.
Yeah, and he looks at Mary Jane and goes, "I'm so glad to see you guys back together." Yeah. Like, just see, like, because that was I just did not expect.
We saw that for the first time together because I was watching you play through at that time. Yeah. And I just remember seeing that, and I'm like, no shit.
It's like, man, it's like that guy will cameo everywhere.
Oh yeah.
And the beauty of the game is if they wanted to continue to do Stanley cameos in games, they could almost do it.
Oh yeah.
So those two stand out to me. I don't remember which movie it was. It might have been a Spider-Man movie. It might have been, now that I think about it, might have been Iron Man, actually. The one where he's like trying to get into a party and he gives his name and he's not on the guest list.
It might have been an Iron Man one.
That might have been. I don't remember.
I know there's the Iron Man cameo where Tony walks by him and pats him on the shoulder and he says, "Good to see you, Hef." And then Stan Lee turns around like, "Who the heck is that guy?"
But yeah, man, definitely a unique cat, man. Can honestly say that comic books today would not be the same without him. Favorite characters that he created? I'm sure Spider-Man is probably close.
Oh yeah, I mean that's kind of a given though. That's one of the best characters he's had his hand in. Probably Iron Man.
Iron Man's a great one.
Yeah, even though he's now like a comic book character, back when before the movies, he's one of my favorites, and he was kind of like a B character at the time.
Yeah, like I mean, he was always a big character, but he didn't get the respect in comics that he would later get as a result of the Marvel movies.
Yeah.
The Marvel movies completely reinvented that character.
Oh yeah. I mean, I think you kind of have to owe that to Robert Downey.
Yeah, which I mean, we could go on. We could do a whole show talking about that guy's road to recovery. I mean, talk about a redemption story.
Yeah. Oh yeah, man. That we could definitely do a whole show on that. But what's your favorite character?
Favorite character? I mean, outside of Spider-Man, because I mean that's kind of the given as what would be the top one. Always really liked the Hulk. I really like the Fantastic Four and probably Daredevil. Those three comic series, the way that the characters were built and the inner turmoil that all of them had to go through, even the Fantastic Four, just the group dynamics and the family dynamics that they had to go through, the trouble that Matt Murdock endured, obviously Peter Parker, all the stuff he endured. I love those characters because they had real life problems that you could relate to, and Stan was the master of making that.
No doubt about that.
But anyway, guys, we could go on all day about Stan. So I mean, we don't want to do like a huge long thing because we're getting away from doing super long beefy shows all at once.
Yeah, we kind of wanted to come on and just remember Stan and really just kind of lift him up right now.
Yeah, and obviously prayers go to his family, his
prayers
friends.
to the family, friends, man. It's tough when you lose someone so just outgoingly just amazing.
Real quick before we end, what would you say is your favorite storyline that he was involved in writing?
Ooh. Let me think on that for a second.
For me, I would probably have to give it to probably one of the greatest stories ever told in Marvel, the night that Gwen Stacy died.
Ooh, yeah, that one's very emotional.
Amazing Spider-Man when they killed off Gwen Stacy, and the whole everything that Peter's road to redemption after that, because he was blaming himself for that, and it took him a while to kind of get back to being the happy-go-lucky character that we know him to be.
Yeah.
I think that was a super powerful story. Another one that stands out is probably Fantastic Four and the Submariner. It's an oldie, but it's just and that wasn't told over one comic. That was something that kind of they always kept going back to in the comics in the 60s, was the dynamic between Prince Namor, the Submariner, and the Fantastic Four. The inner struggle for the Thing in the Fantastic Four. I think the Thing coming to terms with his powers and his looks and all that was definitely a great story that was told.
Yeah.
So those are just a few off the top of my head that I can point to and say, yeah, those are definitely ones that stuck with me.
So yeah, I mean, I don't know if there's like a generally specific storyline. And I guess if I'm being like 100% like transparent and honest, I couldn't tell you exactly what all hands he's had in like all the storylines.
Just a generalization, it's pretty safe to say anything from 1960 to about 75 to 77, maybe even 78.
Okay.
Pretty much any of the big things that were around then, chances are Stan had a pretty big hand in it.
Okay, but yeah, I mean, like anything Hulk, I fucking love the Hulk. So anything Hulk, Hulk with Wolverine or Hulk with Abomination, or I can't remember the name of the fucking Yeti guy, but him, which actually that might have been General Ross. Because I know at one point General Ross like transforms.
Could be. That very well could be. The Hulk is always a fun character, man, because he was kind of the first, like, tragic hero, if you know what I mean. You know what I mean? Like, the first hero that got his powers and had wanted nothing to do with any of it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Oh, another good storyline, Planet Hulk.
Planet Hulk, which I keep hearing they're going to make a movie out of. I don't
Well,
know. I don't know if that's ever going to happen.
See, I don't know if they will, because they kind of tied Planet Hulk into Ragnarok.
Yeah.
Because like that basically is the premise of Planet Hulk, is the gladiator and all that stuff. And they even, I hope they bring this character into the movies, but Beta Ray Bill was like Easter egged into that movie.
Really?
He's one of the head figures on that tower.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It's been a while since I've seen Ragnarok, but I know what you're talking about.
And then they made Beta Ray Bill's weapon in that movie. Not that movie. In the Infinity War.
Okay. Yeah. Which, sidebar real quick. I can't wait. That's coming out next year, isn't it?
Dude, I heard supposedly it's over 3 hours long.
Can't wait. Can't freaking wait. I mean, it kind of has to be, because this is really wrapping up the first.
Dude, I don't think they'll kill Cap off. I just think it'll be one of those things where he like just dips out.
I don't know, because I don't remember what happened in the original Infinity War storyline with him. I feel like Steve Rogers died there, but I could be wrong.
I can't remember. I know Steve Rogers does die, and then somehow he comes back, and then...
Yeah, but for a while, if I'm not mistaken, Steve dies and Bucky takes over.
Bucky, and then also Falcon.
Yeah.
Well, so they could go either way, but I would, if I had to guess, they'd probably go in Bucky's direction.
That seems like the most logical as far as like for the movies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I don't know what's his name, the guy that plays Chris Daniels.
I think
Chris Evans. Chris Evans.
Oh yeah, Chris Evans.
Excuse
I thought
me.
you were talking about Bucky.
No, the guy that plays Cap. Because I mean, he's already come out and said that Infinity War 2 is going to be the last for him, right?
Yeah.
It's going to be the last for a lot of those guys, I think. I think the only one they haven't really said anything about is Robert Downey.
Yeah, I would say, I know they're pushing really hard for a full-length another Iron Man, but you'll probably only get supporting cameos.
Yeah, I mean, I think he'll definitely see him pop up in any future Spider-Man movies. Because I mean, there's still a shit ton of Spider-Man for them to do, I'm sure, with Tom Holland.
Yeah, I hope that they don't. I hope they don't pass on Tom Holland too soon.
I don't think they are, because I mean, Tom Holland is there's not anyone out there that I know of, at least critically or otherwise, that's had anything bad to say about him as Spider-Man.
Yeah, I just hope that they don't get into this kind of thing where they're like, all right, we've done Peter Parker, let's move on to Miles.
Yeah.
Which I mean, don't get me wrong, I want to see a Miles movie.
I don't think we're there yet, though. I think we have another good solid few years of time. Well, they could do the Miles Spider-Man. They would maybe they could do it because Sony still owns Spider-Man, right? They're basically just playing nice with Disney to run Spider-Man, right?
So from what I understand, Disney bought out Sony.
I don't know if I believe that.
No, they for real they did.
Oh, like bought out the entire company.
Yeah.
Not like just bought them out for Spider-Man.
So a couple of months back, there was a bidding war between Comcast and Disney to basically buy out Sony, and Disney ain't no bitch.
Well, yeah, I mean, anytime you get into a competition like that, it's pretty much assumed Disney's going to get their way.
Yeah. So from what I understand, those rights are essentially back where they're supposed to be.
I was going to say, because one thing they could do is they could do Miles Spider-Man. Mm-hmm. They could do it kind of like Venom, where the way I understand it is there's not really a way that they could tie this Venom into Tom Holland.
Well, I think they specifically made this Venom not to tie into Tom Holland.
Yeah, so they could do the same thing with a Miles Spider-Man, just set it at a point in the future.
Yeah, but they did, I don't know if you caught it in the Spider-Man movie, they did semi-establish Miles as being part of the universe. Because Donald Glover plays the character that is Miles' uncle.
Oh, okay. Okay, so I mean, we might see him, but I don't see them dropping Tom Holland that quick. Because I mean, at the end of the day, as popular as Miles Morales is right now, at the end of the day, Peter Parker is and always will be
OG Spider-Man.
OG Spider-Man. He will always be the Peter Parker narrative is the one that they will always go back to, no doubt. So even if they do break off and do something with Miles, I feel like they could do it in such a way where it's not tied in directly with Tom Holland.
Yeah.
You know, have it set at a point in the future where Peter Parker is no longer active, because I don't know a shit ton about Miles Morales and his story.
Yeah.
Like because I know in Into the Spider-Verse it's pretty much implied that Peter's training him, but I don't know if that's actually how it went when he became Spider-Man in the comics.
I'm pretty sure it is.
Is it? I don't know.
Sure.
I mean, I don't know, because I mean the only bits of Miles that I have to go off of are with him and Peter is the stuff in the game, because it's weird because Miles Morales. He's always been popular with the fan base, but now he's like getting popular to the mainstream. Mm-hmm. So now it's one of those things where I almost kind of feel like I'm obligated to check out his story a bit more and see what it's about.
Yeah.
But I don't think that they're gonna. I'll just keep reiterating it. I don't think they're gonna go the route of completely nixing Tom Holland in favor of a Miles Morales.
I don't think they will, but I kind of hope that they don't.
Maybe that's what Into the Spider-Verse is going to set up. Maybe that's how they're going to do Miles Morales. Maybe they're going to keep that going in an animated form.
Maybe. So back to Stanley. Do you think Stanley will have a cameo in Spider-Verse?
You know, it wouldn't shock me if he does. Because, I mean, he's literally in just about everything Marvel related.
Yeah.
But it also wouldn't necessarily shock me if he doesn't, given that it's a different medium.
True.
You know, animated movie. I mean, given that he was in the game, it gives me more hope that they could work him in somehow.
Yeah.
But, because, I mean, you know, he did, because he cameoed in Big Hero 6, and that was animated.
Oh, yeah, he did, didn't he?
Yeah, so, I mean, they could do it. So I'm not going to say for sure that, oh yeah, I definitely think he's going to do it, but I think especially now that he's passed, I think it would be kind of a missed opportunity for them to go back and try to find something to throw a Stanley cameo in.
Yeah.
Even if it's just like at the end of the movie, just Stanley going Excelsior or something like that. Yeah. But who knows? It's tough to say for sure. But long story short, guys, we just wanted to come on here and pay tribute to this guy because, I mean...
He's given so much, and just, I mean, really, he kind of set a lot of my morals in life straight.
Yeah, kind of inadvertently by creating these characters.
Yeah.
But, so we wanted to just take a chance. I know a lot of you probably were expecting an MMA show. Sorry we didn't get the chance to put that out, but after we heard about this, we kind of figured this was probably the right way to go.
Yeah.
You know, because, I mean, this dude was just too big a part of our childhood to not talk about.
I agree.
So we're going to go ahead and sign off now, guys. Thank you so much for listening. You can follow us on YouTube. Follow us on all social media. It'll be linked in the description. Don't forget to subscribe. Go ahead and leave a comment talking about your favorite Stan Lee moments, whether it's a cameo in a movie, or a video game thing, a voiceover. Yeah. Any of you out there that have met Stan, if you got cool stories, feel free to put them in the comments. We would love to hear about them. And definitely send prayers and good vibes to his family as we go on with our days.
Absolutely.
So with all that being said, guys, we want to thank you guys so much for listening. I've been Doug Keeney.
I'm Cody.
This is Kame-Cast.
Excelsior.
Excelsior.